Earlier today, Apple CEO Tim Cook came out, very high-powered CEO, him coming out, obviously making waves. And so the business channels, of course, asked anybody who was on about it what their opinion was. In the case of CNBC, they had Ted Cruz on, and so we're going to get his reaction in just a second. Just to give you a very brief summary of what Tim Cook said, the quote that stood out to me was, "Let me be clear, I'm proud to be gay, and I consider being gay among the greatest gifts God has given me." And so they turned to Senator Ted Cruz of Texas, a man who has, I would say, a conflictual relationship with the gay community at the very best. And he was quoted, this is the quote that's making all the headlines, "Those are his personal choices. I'll tell you, I love my iPhone." But he also had another...
I hate him because he's gay,
exactly.
But his product is a product of capitalism, which I love.
Exactly.
I've consumed his product even though I hate him personally.
Yeah, I would love to boycott him, but I don't understand the whole Android thing. So I'm stuck with the iSystem. But anyway, so he was on CNBC, and obviously a man like Ted Cruz, who does not want this to be legal, spoke out against the recent Supreme Court decision, making it legal in many states. They wanted to find out what he thought about that, and so they have a little back and forth.
The Senator, you yourself have talked about introducing anti-gay marriage legislation and trying to protect the rights of the states, you've said. But at the same time, you've also said that what the Supreme Court did by not ruling on the states who have allowed gay marriage, that was tragic and indefensible.
You are exactly right. Look, I believe in the Constitution. I think we need to follow the Constitution. What the Supreme Court did, effectively striking down the laws of 30 states, was wrong, and it was judicial activism.
But if a state chooses to allow people of the same sex to marry, shouldn't they be allowed to do that?
Yes. No, I agree. And perhaps you are not understanding my position. Yeah. Marriage is a question for the states.
Okay. So
strikes many as hypocritical.
Yeah. Now, so let's break this down. Okay. So first of all, he says, I'm not saying that Massachusetts can't allow gay marriage. I'm in favor of state rights. I just want to have Texas and Alabama be able to block gay marriage.
Yeah.
Now, that's why he's saying it's a states' rights issue, just like slavery was. It was a states' rights issue.
Exactly.
And civil rights too. I mean, look, they got colored water fountains, and we, for real people, we have white water fountains. This is a states' rights issue, right? No, some things are not states' rights issues. They are fundamental human rights issues.
Exactly.
They are constitutional rights issues. So, for example, if the great state of Texas decided, you know what, we're going to block certain people from voting. People above the age of 65, people under the age of 25, people who are Asian, you name it, we're going to block them from voting. That's my state's rights.
Yeah.
They don't have that state right because that's a constitutional issue.
Effectively, they do recently.
I mean, recently they have been, and of course that same Supreme Court that Ted Cruz hilariously thinks is too liberal is letting them run amok and destroying civil rights in the South and in other places.
Yep.
So, and not following the Constitution. Okay, now, but let's get to the real philosophical hypocrisy here. Because in the first quote that John read, referring to Tim Cook, he said, "Those are his personal choices. I'll tell you I love my iPhone," right? Now, wait a minute. No, you guys are against personal choices. Now, you say, oh, hate the sin, love the sinner. Okay, if I said that in any other context, it would be abhorrent, right? Yeah. I mean, you name it. I hate what you're doing. I hate what you're doing, okay? And by the way, that happens to be a central part of your identity. But what? I didn't say I hate you. I love you, but I hate everything you do. Come on, right? But you don't want him to have that choice because you literally, in your state of Texas, and you want to be able to do this in many states, say you do not have the choice of getting married. Yeah. So now a lot of Republican governors are trying to do this trick to it because they're in close races where they say, no, I respect a woman's right of choice. I'm just pro-life. No. You're fundamentally misunderstanding what's going on. Yeah. You are saying by being against abortion in all circumstances, I do not want you to choose. I want me to choose for you. Tim Cook, I don't like your personal choices, is what Ted Cruz is saying through his philosophy and through his voting record. What he's saying is, I don't want you to have that choice. Yeah. I get to make that choice for you. You're not allowed to get married like the rest of us.
Yeah, and it's not just hypocrisy about states' rights. Does anyone doubt that if there was like a renewed strengthened DOMA being considered in the Senate, that he wouldn't be a vote for it? Like if they could actually take away the ability of the states, do you actually think that he would not give them the right to ban it nationally. Nobody actually thinks that. And look, on the states' rights thing, Democrats and Republicans are often accused of being hypocritical because generally they will like states' rights when it gives them the outcome they want and not on the opposite side. So I'm going to get out in front of that and say that I honestly don't give a fuck about states' rights. I think it's a weird artificial construct that we set up. I care about American rights, all of us, the rights to be treated with dignity. And so I think that that is a consistent position regardless of what states decide.
I don't necessarily agree with your states' rights position, but that's a long conversation about
I think it's done more harm in our nation's history than good.
Okay, I hear you on that, and that's a very defensible point. I 50% agree. Okay, so
I 50% appreciate that.
right, but I want to clarify one thing that John said that's important. The Republican Party in mass, all of them, supported Defense of Marriage Act.
Yeah.
Defense of Marriage Act was against states' rights. It said states cannot make the choice. We're saying that it has to be straight marriage and straight marriage only. And if Texas doesn't want to recognize your laws in Massachusetts, if you decided you were in favor of gay marriage, they don't have to respect your laws. So they're full of shit. They don't want any. States' rights is just a guise for discrimination. It's just a cover for it. And the minute, of course, you say, all right, states' rights, Colorado passed legalized marijuana, Ted Cruz hates states' rights, right? And on it goes.